Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our final live session for the month. And today we'll be talking with Rena from Life of REHC on buying property in our 20s. Before we get into our chat this evening, I just want to give a huge shout out to our amazing sponsors. Wife Her Boutique, who will be giving away the prize for this evening, Dolce & Gabbana, Neutrogena, Maybelline New York, and the G Label Boutique, where you can use my code SHARSMIND to get 10% off of your next purchase. Today's prizes include this beautiful Dolce & Gabbana set, as well as a gift card from Wife Her Boutique. If you've been enjoying our Sunday chat so far, please feel free to like this video, share it with a friend, and also leave a comment and tell us how you enjoyed the Sunday chats, which ones were your favorite, and what are some things that you learned that you will try to incorporate into your day-to-day life. As we wait for Rena to join, please feel free to share the live with a friend, and please get your friends involved so that they can check out the lives that they missed. At this time, I will invite Rena to join us. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday so far. If you are, please type in the chat what you've been enjoying about the Sunday. Hi, Ree. How are you?
Hi, Shar. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you on today to tell us a bit about your property buying journey. I
Oh,
hope you had,
wow. I'm excited to be on.
had a good Sunday so far.
Yes, I had my Sunday dinner. Thank you so much.
And I love
Well
it.
fed.
Your new video on your YouTube channel.
Yes, I know, right? I do too much when I think about it.
So, guys, a bit about Rena. So, she is a certified public accountant. She currently works as a financial advisor. She's a YouTuber who posts consistent content. Now, we know we have our favorite YouTubers, but I don't think you know anyone as consistent on YouTube as. So, please check out her YouTube channel, Life of REHC. She's also a blogger and she's very active on Instagram. So, follow her.
Oh,
All
I
right.
appreciate you.
All right, so we're gonna jump right on into our questions because we have quite a bit of questions on buying.
Okay.
And I see Cedric is in the chat, and I know
Hey,
you know
Sadie.
Cedric well.
I know. We're all mutual friends. I love it.
Yes. All right, so my first question is what made you decide to buy properties in your 20s? I know you're 26. So most
Right.
people wait until they're like 30, 35. So what made you decide to buy property now?
So that's such a great question. So first of all, actually, my mother is a mortgage loan officer. So she's actually retired now. She retired probably, I believe she retired with maybe 25 years in the business,
Mhm.
but she was previously a mortgage loan officer. So I remember I actually grew up in the bank. So like I just was I just was one of those kids where after school you went to the bank. So I got a like an opportunity to just to get to learn a little bit more about what the bank does in terms of mortgages and stuff. And my mom was very kind of like a hands-on motherhood. So she said, Mom, she'll take you with her. So I got to see some of her clients and some of her homes and stuff like that. And I just was fascinated with the whole aspect of real estate from there. So that really kind of sparked my interest, I feel like, in childhood. But fast forwarding to actually going to university and stuff, I went to schools. I went to university in Canada, King's University College, and then I did my graduate in Michigan. So after doing my graduate, I actually was fortunate enough, I got a job back home. I am a different Bahamian. I have no problem moving back home. I love kung salad. So I was like, you know what? I'll just move back home. It's a job. That's something that most people, stress about post grad.
Mhm.
But I was fortunate I was able to land something before I even graduated. So Fast forward to moving home. During that process, my parents actually got divorced. So that actually kind of drove a slight wedge in terms of like where I would be living and having to figure out if I'm staying with family members, if I'm renting and stuff like that. And I just remember my mom, me and her had a really honest conversation, and she said, um, the only thing she would advise me to do is to get started with it early. So she felt as though, like, me and her sat and talked about it, and I was about to rent because I moved back home. I had a job and I needed a place to live. So I was renting, and she was like, not a fan of it. She was like, renting is a dead investment. It went against all of her principles. So it was really my mom who kind of preempted me to be like, you know what? Invested in actual real estate for yourself, and it might look a little crazy because you're so young and you're doing it by yourself, but she kind of like encouraged me to say it'd be worth it. So that was my mommy.
So shout out to your mommy for encouraging you to invest in real estate.
Yeah, no, she did that. I give her that. She really
Awesome.
sparked that interest, and I love HGTV. So
So in terms of buying property in your 20s, was there a specific financial goal that you wanted to reach in terms of your savings before you decided to actually apply to the bank for a loan and everything?
right, I definitely wanted my deposit. So, and I'll just be really frank, Shara. I'll give you the numbers. I'm just gonna be open. I really wanted something. My max budget was like around $100,000 when I was looking for a property, and the bank requires 10% deposit. So I told myself I will start looking once I have my 10%. Because I knew
Mm.
once you start looking and stuff, that process can take maybe a year or two. You never know. So I said, you know what? At least I can have a deposit. So as soon as I saved up, I believe it took me maybe like 2 years or so to save that amount. I really started like, okay, I need to find something that I actually wouldn't mind investing in and stuff.
Awesome. So I think that's important that people actually need to think about. Like if you do want to buy a property, it's important to actually have that percentage saved that the bank would require. So
Right.
also in
And
terms of, oh, you can finish.
no, and I was saying I feel like here that sounds like a lot because I know in the US I think there's sometimes only like a 3% deposit, or maybe in other countries it's a lot more. But I just want to encourage in people that it's possible. Like you could even start small. $100,000 for a property is pretty I feel like grandiose. You could find maybe a more budget friendly property and then go from there. So it sounds a little much, but I just want to encourage somebody it's not that bad.
So in terms of getting a loan and then having to get a mortgage with a bank, what was the
Hmm.
process that you had to go through in order to qualify for the loan? And was it
Right.
difficult? And also which bank did you not, you don't have to say which bank, but what made you choose the bank that you went?
I'll be open with it. I bank with CIBC, y'all. That's where I grew up. So,
Like first
yeah, yeah,
okay.
First Caribbean. So, like I said, I grew up in the bank, right? So, it turned from, I think, Barclays way back in the 90s to First
Mhm.
Caribbean, and now it's CIBC. So, I was there through all of the transitions. And I feel like First Caribbean is a very safe bank to invest in the Bahamas, especially with hearing some of the stories. Even I've personally experienced some horror stories from different banks in the Bahamas. I just personally choose to stick with CIBC for now because I feel like they have really good customer service, and it's a very safe place to put your money here in the Bahamas. And that's not a plug for them. They do not pay me. Matter of fact, I pay them.
Yeah.
But
So what was
to answer your oh sorry,
uh,
sorry.
yeah, the process of having to qualify
Yes.
for, how was that?
Right. So, as soon as I knew I wanted to invest, I sat with a mortgage loan officer, and then I checked how much I qualified for at the time. Even with moving back home with my salary, I was like, how much do I qualify for? And I liked that I went in early because obviously, if you got promoted or if you have any extra income, that isn't taken into consideration yet because that's kind of like your base starting salary. So I really went in early just to get like what is the lowest amount that I can qualify for at this time with my starting
Mhm.
salary. And then once she gave me that, I really liked my mortgage loan officer because she also kind of prompted some really good questions in me at a young age. She was like, okay, do you want to do a new build? Do you want to look at homes currently in the market? How do you feel about distressed homes? She even showed me the full listing of distressed homes. She showed me how to look at all other distressed properties in the Bahamas. So she really opened my eyes in terms of that. And then she was another person who told me, you know what, come back when you have your deposit, because that's when, I feel like that's when everybody on all sides take you seriously, when you have your money ready,
Yeah.
versus when you come kind of a little too early and they're like, oh, well, you're just looking.
So, and I know you mentioned she also showed you repossessed homes, right?
Yes, yes.
What are your thoughts on buying a repossessed home, and what made you decide to buy property as opposed to just buying a home and then fixing it up?
Right. I feel like that's the biggest challenge here. So I did look at repossessed homes because I thought like, okay, I could just, invest in it and fix it up, maybe change the roof or the flooring. But there was this distressed home that I looked at and I got an inspector to look at it. And he was saying like, the whole roof would have to change and the plumbing is off the code. So he was pricing me and he said, at this rate, you might just have to build this. Like he said, it's actually better to build a home that can last 50 years than you potentially fixing up this 50-year-old home now with all of these problems. So that sparked an interest in me. I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with underlying issues that I cannot see. So I feel like that's always the con. And we've seen that before when dealing with distressed homes. But I do advise it because I think it kind of is an easier opportunity, because if you are willing to kind of fix it up and if you have that extra money to kind of invest in it up front, I definitely think you should do that. Also, for me, Shah, between me and you, girl, I had taste. So I was like, oh, this layout will not go. I was like, no, my kitchen can't be that close to my bathroom. So so the life I had in my head was costing me too much in terms of the layout, especially with older Bahamian homes, right? So they were like, you know what, just build the home you want.
Yeah.
So that was really the pros and cons for me. But I think if you are a little less, a little less kind of like extra than me, definitely look into repossessed homes because you could save a lot of money, and there's still some great real estate out there.
But I think you made an interesting point that once you got someone to look at the property, well, the repossessed home, they saw a lot of
Yes,
issues. So
yes,
who
always
exactly?
get a third party.
So did you get a professional or just a family friend?
I wish I had a family friend. I, I got a professional inspector to look at it and kind of assess the bones of the house to see if there are any issues. So I always recommend getting a third party, especially when you're dealing with real estate. You don't want to make mistakes.
And then people would have an issue with like the property and not actually safe. And then you find out after you
Right?
spent all that money and then
They
everything.
already have your money.
Mm-hmm.
Once people have your money, there's little too much you could do about it.
Yeah. Oh man. So in terms of your finding the perfect property for you, what were some challenges that you had with your property search?
Okay, so I don't think I shared this on my channel, but this actually wasn't the first property that I was trying to lock in to get. I actually was looking at another lot in a different area, and that fell through. So I think it was the lawyer didn't match kind of what my needs were, in that I wasn't trying to spend as much money. So I know, and you're a lawyer too, so I know it's like a percentage of the value, but
Yeah.
there are some law firms that are a little more nicer about the percentage versus others. So I don't think the lawyer was a good fit. Because also, with the lawyers, you have to have communication between, is it the seller and the buyer, right? So they
Yeah.
were having discussions, but there was a little bit of a lag with the first property I was looking at. Basically, there was an issue where there were unpaid fees on the property, and the buyer had to pay it off. The bank was like, the buyer needs to pay it off in full. And it was like a good $1,000 in fees. So the
Mm-hmm.
buyer was just creating this lag, and my lawyers couldn't do anything about it, and they couldn't advise like when it would be solved. Like, it's honestly up to the buyer. So I was like, you know what? This doesn't seem like a good fit. Let's just pull the plug. So then after that, I was like, that actually kind of prompted me to get another real estate agent and stuff like that, like someone who kind of is able to have a more thorough picture of the property. Because I was initially working with this other real estate agent, and I felt like that's something that I feel like a real estate agent should have known before engaging somebody into that property. I feel like you should know if there are any I don't know what the legal term is. You're a lawyer. There
Like
it
an in
is. Come
or
on,
something.
knowledge. Yep, you sound smart. That's it. I felt like that was like something, I feel like that was something that should have been dealt with ahead of time, and it wasn't. So actually, the property that I have now was my second try around. My first time did not go well. So
So in terms of just like property in general, you
mhm.
mentioned the fact that the estate agent should have known that there was some encumbrances or issues with the property. So
Right.
would you actually recommend getting a real estate agent, or is it just fine for me to go online and look at the repossessed properties and decide that I'm going to purchase this property on my own? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you should always do both. So I definitely think do your own research, do your own due diligence and stuff. But I personally, well, I found a real estate agent that I trust through one of my friends in my network. She actually had a friend who was a real estate agent, and she trusted her. So I was like, you know what, you seem to know her well. So I got introduced through a friend, and she ended up being a really good fit. It honestly felt like one of those shows where they show you three properties and you had to make a choice. That's how she that's how she functioned the meeting, and I thought it was really fun. Like we drove around Nassau, saw different properties. She told me her pros, her cons, and she made me feel like she wanted me to make a well-informed decision. So that was really different because some real estate agents I feel like weren't as serious as her. So
And I see Sadie's asking in the chat, did having a real estate agent really help your process?
I setting finding the right real estate agent helped my process because
Like the
I
right.
yeah, because I feel like I dealt with maybe three real estate agents before I found the right one. So, and then that's the thing as well, right? So they make money off of their commission. So they don't make
Mhm.
money until they get you to commit to the property. So I personally was of the impression that, hey, I want to find a real estate agent that fits me and my needs. And it wasn't until I found the person that I was able to work with on this property where she actually was like, and she actually was a CPA, which is really cool. So she was like, I know where you're coming from and I know where you're trying to go. And she really tailored it. She stuck within my budget. I think maybe one property she showed me was maybe I think maybe like 5 to 10,000 over my budget, which is like really reasonable. So she was very good. But I think having a real estate is nice and it does help your process. To be honest, I did a lot of research on my own. So I was able to message her with a few properties that I liked before even meeting with her. But it can help. It can help, but definitely just do your own research as well.
Mm. And you mentioned that she showed you property that were a bit higher than your budget. So I know I've
Hmm.
heard before that people say, let's say for example, you're trying to save 40,000 as a deposit for a property. You should
Right.
double that because things may happen that you probably didn't account for. Or you also need to include your real estate fees, your lawyer fees, and different issues that may arise. So tell us a bit about setting a budget for
Right.
purchasing.
Right. So Shar, like I told you, I started looking when I hit my deposit. So that was the 10%. So about $10,000. I was like, okay, I'll start looking. But it honestly took me probably about, I would say another year and a half to 2 years to actually find a property that I liked. So even though I had my deposit, while I was looking, I was still saving. So I was able to find enough money for the lawyer fees, and the bank fees as well. I did take out a closing cost loan at the end because whew, it was during that time of the transition. I think the stamp tax or something in the VAT. They hit me with those numbers and I dodged them. I said something has to break.
Uh-huh.
So I actually ended up taking a small closing cost loan to cover um those fees, the stamp tax and the VAT. But I tried my best to, even though I had the deposit, I knew that there would be other fees around the corner. I just tried to save as you go along. But I think that's the importance of finding people, especially with real estate. I feel like you'll need a lawyer, you'll need a real estate agent, and then you'll also need a mortgage loan officer. And I feel like once I found those three people and three people I can trust, that's when things really shifted for me. So I know it sounds like a lot, but definitely use your network. Like I was struggling to find like three. It's just oh yeah, they're all women. I was struggling to find three women I can trust in their own respective industries to help carry me along. But it's definitely possible, I would say. But saving is key.
But you would also recommend if you know that your deposit is 20,000 or 40,000, double it just in case for those unexpected
Oh
fees.
yes, for sure. I feel like once you decided you want to invest into real estate, you should have a constant saving plan. I know for me, I came up with my own like personal budget that I do every month, the Do Better budget. So in there as well, I have a separate section just for savings. And I'm not a game player when it comes to saving. I save. So the money that goes there, I do not touch it. And that's one of the easiest ways you can accumulate savings fast is when you actually have a plan and you stick to it and you're strict about it.
So shameless plug for Reed.
Oh
So
yeah.
has a budget that you can purchase from her website. It's called the Do
Hmm.
Better Budget. And this can help you to save for if you're interested in investing in property. So once you come off this live, please follow her and check out the Do Better Budget and purchase it so that you can be on your journey to financial freedom with investing in property.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Thank
I
you.
question the chat from Danielle, and she's asking, how does one search for homes that are repossessed? I know some banks
Okay,
on their websites, right?
right. It's the website. Also, Shaw Credit Unions. Credit union websites as well. They have a good chunk of repossessed homes. I searched there as well. So I would say mainly the bank listings. If you can't find it on the bank, just go to any branch and a mortgage loan officer should give you access to that. Like that's general information. So I also, yeah, it was like RBC, Scotia, CIBC, and then some of the credit unions as well here. They also have repossessed land. I think those were great as well. The credit union ones are more affordable, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Also, guys, if you have any questions for me, you can feel free to type it in the chat, or you can use the question tab and we can address your questions at the end. So, Ree, my next question for you is, would you suggest building immediately after buying the property, or once you have spent that chunk of money, take some time to catch yourself and to save so that you can like rebuild that savings?
I feel like it depends on the person because I honestly wish I had the time to chill. I do not. So I think definitely if you can chill, I know sometimes especially with my property as well, I feel like because I can share like the property is actually associated with some HOA fees. So I'm putting some pressure on myself to get in that property because I actually still have to pay the HOA fees even though I'm not living there yet. So for me, there is pressure. But if you don't have any pressure, definitely take your time, save. After once you acquire the property, what the next steps would be to submit your plans for approval and stuff like that. I think that cost me around maybe $1,000, definitely with the ministry. And some architects charge up to maybe $5,000 depending on your plans. So I feel like those would be your next biggest expenses. My advice would be to honestly work at whatever pace you want to work at. If you want to take a break, maybe spend a year and just kind of make one big principal down payment or just get comfortable with that new debt that's hitting your bank account. That's fine as well. I feel like this journey is very kind of subjective to the person. So that's why I like it.
That makes sense. And for those who are wondering what she means when she says HOA fees, she means
Mhm.
owners association. Just
Yes,
in case
thank
you
you.
sure about it. If you're like in a certain community, they may have certain fees to cover, for example, security and different things like that. So
Hmm.
talks about like having an architect. So let's say, for example, I know I want to buy a property. I know I
Hmm.
want a house, but I don't exactly know what design that I want. I know I need to hire people to make this design for me. And I know
Hmm.
I've watched some of your YouTube videos and told us about your horror story. So do
Oh
you
yeah.
mind sharing a bit about that with us on this live today?
I can share. I can open a girl. It's already out there. So basically, when I was looking for the plans and trying to get them approved, so and I'll be just super honest about it. I was able to borrow some plans from one of my friends who lived in a similar area. I was like, "Oh, I love your house. Can I see those plans, please?" And she was able to share a copy of them with me. But it ran into the issue where obviously, if you are kind of leveraging someone else's plans, you still have to get the stamps. So you need your architect stamps, your structural engineer stamps, and your Ministry of Work stamps. So even though you can leverage someone's plans, you still have to put everything in your own name, which is something that a lot of Bahamians, quote unquote, don't do or quote unquote don't know about. So after I was able to leverage her plans, I enlisted this gentleman to try to help me legitimize and kind of recreate these plans so I can put them in my name. It did not go well. He ended up taking thousands of dollars from me. Still have not got it back. I have let him. I have officially let God fight my battles. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, from that experience, I learned it's best to work legitimately. And to be honest, looking back, I was like, you know what? I was trying to kind of leverage too much. Definitely what I did after I dealt with that man was I went straight to an actual architect and structural engineer and I got the help that I needed. And it ended up working with me a lot better because the structural engineer had already in a relationship with the Ministry of Works. So I learned from my lesson that sometimes you have to be careful when you're working with certain people in the industry. Everybody doesn't have your best interest at heart. Everybody does not want to see you win, unfortunately, but you have to win anyway. So after I dealt with that man, I counted my laws, dusted my shoulders, and I found who I needed to make it happen.
And I'm happy that you found someone else
I
and
know, glory.
you finishing your home. So that is amazing.
I know, right? I'm honestly hoping by next year I can move in because I'm sure everybody is ready for me to move in.
And we can't wait to see the YouTube videos about it.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. We're gonna be documenting. We're gonna continue to document the whole thing on YouTube. So yeah, no, definitely check out the channel. There are videos all about everything I did when it comes to my property ownership. And then the playlist is called Real with Three or something.
So I know that
Steady,
you
steady.
I know you mentioned now structural engineer, and I want to know, like, on average, like, what's the cost of getting a plan made? And for example, do they charge you for revisions? How does that work?
I think it's cheaper when you already have something in mind. So, from what I was gathering from the experience, it's more expensive when the structural engineer has to meet and the architect has to come together and draw your plans from scratch because they have to measure out all of the steel, all of the plumbing, all of the things. I think the process gets a lot cheaper when you actually, because I think, like I was saying, it could start from somewhere like $5,000 because that's taking a lot of their time. But even so, my mom as well, we were looking at plans in the US. So you can leverage plans from everywhere, guys. People sell plans in the US as well. You could buy those plans and just give them to an architect here and ask them to kind of recreate it. So I personally, in my opinion, it's best to come in with your own kind of plan as to what you want your property to be. If I haven't shared it before, guys, I'm trying to do an investment property. So it'll actually be multiple homes on one property. So, I trying to financial freedoms, trying to get out.
So obviously, a part of being prepared to buy property is saving money, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
know the first YouTube video that you posted a bit in the series of your property journey, you talked
Mm-hmm.
about some mindset shifts that we need to make. So I want to know if you
Nothing.
can some of those mindset shifts. Don't give us all now because we want people to check out the YouTube videos. But just tell us what those mindset shifts that we make before we decide to purchase this property.
I like you. It's your questions. Yes. So I'm all about mindset shifts because I feel like, to be honest, I feel like that's something that's blocking so many Bahamians here, in my opinion. Like I live in the Bahamas and I've seen the amount of dreams and ambition in our people, and sometimes you just never hit the surface. And I just personally believe that your mindset is everything. So if
Yeah.
you don't believe that you can do it, and if you don't believe it can happen for you, how can anybody else? So one of the mindset shifts I kind of had to rework in my own self was that money is attracted to you and money is all around you. Because I know a lot of times people think, okay, I'm working this 9 to 5, literally stressing, trying to pay these bills, and I don't have enough. Like I'm trying to save and hit all these big goals, but there is not enough money around you. And I feel like that's such a block because I too was there. I had to sit down and say, I need to create more money for myself. So how can I do this? Like, what are my skills? I'm good at accounting. What do I need to do? Do I need to do tutoring? Do I need to do teaching? What am I good at? Sometimes when I talk, people laugh. Should I do a YouTube channel? Because, YouTube could open up a source of revenue. So I just personally believe that when it comes to money, your mindset should always be that it's abundant and it's coming to you and it's attracted to you, because that changes you from the level of poverty to a level of abundance and success. So, and I feel like, yes, honestly, faith is a huge part of it as well. But I've seen people, they're not spiritual and they're still successful. Why? Because they have a really strong mindset. They know that they know that money is something that's attracted to them and it's coming from a place of abundance. So I really, don't get me started, because I'm always preaching to people, like, tap into your skills, tap into your gifts. If you want more money, go out there and get it. Nobody is stopping you. That's just my personal opinion, though. I just have to slide that in.
I love what you said. Money is attracted to me, so I just need to go there and get it, right? So in terms of that, obviously, certain people with their 9 to 5s, they may not be making the amount of money that they want to make in order to just decide to one day, okay, I'm going to buy property when I turn 27 or 28. But what are
Right.
some tips for budgeting and saving for purchasing property?
So I feel like my biggest tip that I always share with somebody is you should never be spending and saving in the same bank account. So something that's very dear to me is I don't spend and I don't save in the same place. So personally, I use a credit union. I know a lot of people have bad stigmas about credit union, but I love the credit union because I have to physically go there to get the money out. So I never want to. So I actually, that's, so personally, I think they're onto something. So I personally put my savings in a credit union until I hit the goal that I want to hit with them. And then I withdraw the funds, or then I invest it or whatever. So that's something that I tell, like, anybody who I meet, you should definitely separate the bank account where you're spending from the bank account where you're saving. And then obviously, once you get paid, tithes, if you're a Christian, hallelujah, savings. Then
Yeah.
you deal with the rest. That's just personally how I lived, and that's how I get around.
So in terms of like credit unions, would you say that credit unions usually have higher interest rates, so you'll actually gain more when you put your money in a credit union?
Yeah, so they actually have better interest rates at the credit union, especially with their fixed deposits. So personally, I did the fixed deposit at the credit union. So especially because I wasn't sure when I actually would find a property. So while I was doing the search, once I had the 10%, thank you so much for reminding me. I did do a fixed deposit to try to gain some interest on it while I waited. So definitely, if you can, and if you know there's a period where, hey, I'm saving for this big goal, but I'm not sure when it will happen, or I'm not sure because I still have to search for something that I want, definitely invest it. Also, Shar, you could also look into, what is it, the central bank bonds. That's a good investment as well. It's like a risk-free interest rate. So it's a really good way for Bahamians to save as well.
That makes sense. So in terms of investing, obviously property is a good investment. And then like you mentioned, the bonds. But
Right.
what really makes property investment so good? Obviously we know property appreciates over time. So what
Right.
exactly drew you to saying, okay, I want to invest in property? And you also mentioned that you want an investment property so that you can actually be making money from this property. So what makes property such a good investment?
I feel like for me, property is such a lucrative investment because we are born and raised in the Bahamas. There are people, millions of people who fly here to have vacation, to live a better life, to soak up the air, to soak up the heat that we sometimes don't want and have to roll up our windows and put on the AC. So I feel like for me, what really sparked my interest in real estate was when I started, and I know it sounds really cheesy, I used to look at the classifieds. Some of these properties out here are like millions of dollars, millions. And I started to realize, like, what is happening here? Like, what is happening here in terms of the real estate shift, that certain properties, like right around the corner from you, right by the beach, it goes from a $200,000 property to $1 million property. And I started to like toy with the idea that I think this will always be, in my opinion, a real estate hotspot. Cross my fingers and I hope not. But I think the Bahamas is really a strong factor when it comes to real estate. Like when you look at celebrities buying islands, like I don't think they're off. Like those people have those people have their own financial investors and accountings and stuff like that. I think the Bahamas is a very great real investment spot. So I just toyed with the idea that, hey, I am a citizen of this great country. Like, if I can tap into that real estate market, why not? Because I feel like it's a very kind of like lucrative experience. And don't get me wrong, like, still, definitely, there are other investment opportunities like stocks and trading and stuff like that. For me, it was a little, I feel like I don't know. I know a little bit about trading, but I really, if I'm going to be trading, I want to know the ins and outs. I want to be able to make the $5,000 in a day. And I feel like that required a little bit of upfront investment that property really didn't acquire. Like you can own property and it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, quote unquote, who you are type of thing. So I really was attracted to the idea that, hey, I've seen some people gain a lot of real estate and financial success off of the properties in the Bahamas. Like, why not tap into that? Even with Airbnb popping up, there are new Airbnbs popping up every day. So I really felt like there was a huge, I don't want to say gap, but there was a huge need for more Bahamians to tap into some of the things that, and not to like down expats or citizens, like there's something there that they're looking at, and I just want like more citizens to like tap into that and be like, what's going on over there and how can we share in that wealth? Because there's I mean, in my opinion, there's a power disparity happening with the country where like certain
Yeah.
areas are living a different life than certain areas, and I feel like there's a need to meet the gap. So sometimes you have to look
I
across
love
the grass and be like, what are they doing and how can I get into that?
I really appreciate what you said because it's true. There are a lot of expats who are actually coming to the Bahamas. They like the property here and they're buying the land. But in reality, obviously, we think, okay, I don't have enough money. I can't afford it. Yes, property in New Providence is expensive, but we could buy property in other family islands as well. New Providence is not the only place that we could
A
be
hundred
investing.
percent.
And the property on Family Islands are way cheaper. So if you didn't consider maybe purchasing property on Family Island, look into that because that may
Definitely.
be in your budget if you think
Mm-hmm.
property isn't in your budget. So I really love the fact that you said that because I think a lot of young people, especially, are just fed up with the fact that it's so hard for young people here in the Bahamas to make it because it seems as though the rich get richer, and if we down here ain't nobody checking for us. We have to pull ourselves up at the end of the day, and it sometimes it seems unfair. And I think that's why a conversation like this is so important. So yes, you are going through your purchasing property journey, but you're sharing it. So you're giving other
Right.
young people the opportunity to look into purchasing property. And I really appreciate not just you coming on to my live, but also the fact that you share your story on your YouTube channel because there's enough wealth and property all around for all of us to be benefiting from. So I really, really appreciate the fact that you made that point, Ree. Like, honestly, I really appreciate that. But in
Thank
terms
you.
about your property journey in general, what are some things that you would have done differently if you were able to do it again?
Like I said, I've made the mistakes and the mistakes cost money. So switching lawyers costs money, pulling out of properties or like properties that you're not interested in, that costs money. Every time you engage with the bank fees, oh, abusive. Those banks are not playing. So I felt like I made a lot of mistakes and then sometimes I think those mistakes were made so I could share it with you guys. But definitely going forward, I definitely would have made more effort to just find the right people ahead of time. Because sometimes when we're like looking for things, we rush and we're like, okay, I want to do this now. So I just gonna work with this person and I think it could work out. That was me and I ended up here. So I think sometimes it's okay to breathe and just assess and talk to your network. I really wish I would have talked to my network earlier because, like I said, the real estate agent that I worked with in the end was through a recommendation of a close friend. Like, why didn't I mention that to her sooner? So I feel like a lot of people don't tap into the right network. And I know what people think. If you, because sometimes people say, well, I don't know anybody who is related to a real estate agent or who is kind of looking into property like I am. Upgrade your level, upgrade your circle. So if you want to tap into property, start talking to the right people. There are people, and I don't want to say this in a very narcissistic way, but I've had multiple people, Bahamian women, message me saying that I need to get into this. Can you help me? And I've like helped them all the time. So it isn't even about like your network expanded, is what I'm trying to say. So if you are looking to get into a certain level or a certain area, sometimes it really helps to just sit down and be like, who is over there that I can talk to on Instagram and just DM and get it done type of thing. So that would be my greatest advice if I could be honest. Like if you feel like you're trying to step into this level and you're not ready, see if you could holler at someone across the fence and be like, who are you? And then see if you could get some help into getting there for yourself.
Yes, that is such good advice. But honestly, like when you talk about tapping into our network, some people are shy. So I think it's easier
Mm-hmm.
than done. Like, do I just message a complete stranger that I follow on Instagram and say, hey, can you help me with my property search? So how
Sure,
do you
I'm
go?
shy too. I shy and I have a YouTube channel. Like we all are there. We all are there in the deep outside our comfort zone. I feel like that's the struggle with adulting, right? Because
Mhm.
I agree. I agree. There can be some point of shyness as well. But you don't have to do it. I don't feel like if you're not comfortable Instagramming somebody, also ask your because like I said, my mom was very influential with my property journey. Just tap into maybe your mom. If you have somebody at your church who you respect, maybe a mentor, maybe someone else, someone that takes away the shyness factor, maybe start there. So I know a lot of times we could have certain people in the community that we look up to. Let's start there. Maybe if there's a coworker who you say like, girl, things are going so well into you, like see things are going so well for you, please help me, like type of thing. Start there. Start with someone you trust, and that kind of removes the shyness factor from it. That helps.
That's good advice. Yes, it does. I also remember at one point there was this page called Bahamas Association of Young Professionals. So
Oh,
when you
really?
sign, you actually could have said, okay, I'm Charlie, I'm a lawyer. So you could hit me up if you needed, some tips or some advice. But I think that's gone now. So I think it would be really
Oh,
cool for something like that to happen again for young people to have a network of young people that they could go to if they need help with a particular thing. So I think the networking thing is really, really important. But thank you
definitely.
so much, Ree, for all of those amazing tips. And now
No,
we are going
thank
to go
you.
into our audience questions. So if you
Okay.
have a question for Ree, please don't be shy. Feel free to either type it in the comment section or to use our question tab and ask her whatever question you may
Break those chains. I'm not scared to talk numbers.
have. Okay, so someone asked, what is the credit union's interest rate? And someone else was asking something earlier in the chat about the credit union's rates, and they asked, what's the percentage of interest on the fixed deposit account?
Double check because I haven't done it for 2021, but it was, I think, 4%. That was that was around like COVID, like pre-COVID situation. So I think it's 4%, but I could be wrong. Um, yeah, that's why I would say just call and double check though, because the lady at the entrance, she usually is well informed, or she could direct you. But I think it's 4%, which was higher than what the bank had. Maybe the banks had maybe 3% or something. It just was a little higher, so you can gain a little more interest. But like I
I
said,
know
with
some
credit
banks.
unions, the great thing is, oh, what were you saying?
No, I was saying, and the thing is, some banks are canceling interest altogether for certain accounts.
Yep.
So
No, the
that's.
banks are changing. Yep.
Mhm.
Forces you to, and the funny thing was, can I tell you, before I even was putting my money in the credit union, I just was putting my money, and it's such a bad habit, like in my dresser, in my bedroom. I just, if
Yeah.
I needed to collect a lump sum, no, because you have to start somewhere. So
Mhm. Oh,
I feel like I
wow.
always was, yeah, ask my dad or my mom or my brother. I was saving at a young age. If I wanted a Nintendo, you'd be surprised where I would pull up that $100 from.
Yeah.
So even if you start somewhere and that's not the safest, but start start somewhere and then obviously put your money in a place where you can trust and you can easily track it. So
I love that. All right,
hello.
so the next question says, whenever I think of home ownership, I think about being in debt until retirement age.
Mm.
What are the advantages of owning a house as opposed to buying and renting apartments?
Okay, so I love that. I love the fact that, especially when you think of home ownership, there's like a 20 to 30-year mortgage attached to it. But in my opinion, it's better to start that early because even so, you can pay off your mortgage early, right? So let's say you partake in a 30-year mortgage on your property. First of all, I think properties is 15 years. Yes, properties is 15 years, but if you wanted to do a house, that would push you more into the 25 to 30-year mortgage term. So
Mm-hmm.
think about like this. If I start that when I'm 25, in 30 years, I will be 55, right? Let's say I want to be aggressive and pay that off by the time I'm 50. I just cut maybe like 5 years off of my loan term versus let's say I start this process maybe 5 years later or 10 years later when I'm 35. I am now hitting retirement age trying to pay off something that I started when I was younger. So I think, and that could be just like a me thing, but I think it's better, even if you want to do an investment property or whatever, it's better to start that earlier on. And then the great thing about investment properties, you're not just living on the property, you are using the property as a source of income. So let's say you make a certain
Yeah.
percentage, or let's say you make $2,000 from your rent. That is going towards your principal. Congratulations, you just cheat the system. You just knocking down your principal every month off of your rent. You just probably fast forwarded your 30-year mortgage to 20 years. Congratulations, you're on vacation. You're in Bali. You're debt free. I just did it for you.
Yeah.
So that's how I think. I think it's better to get started on this thing when you're early because later on, when you're ready to maybe be financially free or you're ready to do something else with your money is not tied up. So I've seen that, and I've seen that been a mistake of some Bahamians earlier on. They get started with their mortgage when they're 30 and they're 40 and they're 70 now. And they regret it because I'm retired and I still have a mortgage to pay. So that puts a lot of pressure and a lot of strain on you because now you are a senior citizen, so to speak, and you still have that debt. Let's clear that early. Let's get that out the way when we're early so we can enjoy life later and go gardening with our friends or whatever, whatever senior citizens do.
I love the fact that you said that because once you start early and you're able to pay off that loan, one of
Mm-hmm.
my friends told me, one of my lawyer friends, they were like, well, okay, once you have actually, you get this 30-year mortgage, you pay that off, let's say in 10, 15 years, you could do it again and you could have a next investment property. And that's why it's important to do it from early now so that you don't have to
Exactly.
worry you're in your 70s and you haven't paid off your mortgage yet. So that's a very, very good point you just mentioned.
7 years. That was the earliest I've seen someone pay off a 30-year mortgage. Aggressive pay down, but it took them 7 years and they had a home, debt-free home.
Amazing.
So that, I mean, for me, and then when you think about it, that's a better return on your investment than renting. And not to like shame renting, I'm currently renting as well. So renting is a dead investment. When you think about it, if you rent, say $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year going towards you just living in a space. That could be something that goes towards, like you said, your principal or your down payment or towards actual wealth that you can take to the bank.
Yes. Y'all, you see all this amazing gems that we is dropping. She drops these gems on her YouTube channel too. So y'all need to follow, subscribe to her channel on YouTube, guys. Please. All right, so the next question says, is it better to build from scratch or buy a home and renovate? I think you kind of talked about this and it was sort of like, it depends on your situation.
And it depends on your preference, to be honest. Like it depends on um what you want or yourself. Like for me personally, I know my style is a little bit modern. So I knew that would be if I was to buy a home and renovate it, the renovation cost would be the equivalent of me building a brand new home. So
Mm.
that's why I lean towards building a brand new home. But if you have a very kind of like more low cost, maybe like I don't want to say rustic, but if you're okay with just renovating a home here, you're not really too stressed about the layout, you can make it work, or you just want to kind of renovate it so you can flip it later on, because that's something I definitely think Bahamians need to get into, kind of flipping homes. I think that buying a home and renovating it is fine too.
But then another point that you mentioned early on is to get a professional to check it,
Yep.
because you may think the home is fine because to the naked eye there aren't serious issues. But like you mentioned earlier, there may have been plumbing problems that you can't actually see.
Yep.
Decide to buy this house that you just are purchasing to renovate. So that, like you said, could be way more additional fees in terms of that.
Right. I actually had someone from the bank recommend that as well. I double checked with my mortgage loan officer, and she said at the rate you're going, and the kind of trajectory you want to take the property, maybe consider just building it from scratch.
Mm, that's really good advice. So the next question says, we have quite a few questions today. The next question says, how long did you save before you started your journey?
Okay, so like I said, every time I got paid on that glorious payday, I do the tithes and then I do the savings. And like I said, once I decide, so even so, if you go on my YouTube channel, before we even start the year, I like to create a budget for the year. So for our 2021 budget, I would set aside or plug in my monthly income. And then I would say what I even have in the Do Better budget, the percentages. If I want to save 10 to 15%, it has the exact amount that I need to put aside every month to save. So once I get paid, we don't even go to happy hour yet. We take that money and we go to wherever our savings is. I personally like to set, save, and spend in two different areas, but you can just withdraw that money and don't spend it. And I thought it wouldn't work as well, but it was motivational watching $500 turn to $10,000 just off of consistency. Just
Yeah.
put it aside. Do not touch it. Lifestyle creep is real. Do not spend that money. It's not yours. It's your future's.
Yes, say that again. The money is not yours. It's yours. Future self will thank you for that later.
Exactly.
Okay, so another question says, is it true that banks punish you for paying your mortgage too early? Mm.
I thought they still had those penalty fees in place, but I actually learned this week. I believe that was potentially removed from the banking system in terms of the penalty charges that it could be, which is strange. I actually talked to someone about this this week about the fact that if I paid on this mortgage early, would the bank kind of punish me with fees or whatever? And from my understanding, that's no longer the case. I just think you have to, instead of being like, hi, I would like to make one last payment, you would have to physically go into the bank to confirm that, hey, this is the last payment and this loan is officially done, type of thing. Don't quote me on that. I don't think they're punishing. I haven't personally had to close down any loans yet. So just subscribe to the channel, like Shah said, and I'll probably update you guys. I'll probably do a story time and be like, they tried it. But to my knowledge, that's not happening.
Okay. Another question says, how long was the process from you starting to save to actually getting to the building stage? I think this is similar to an earlier question as well that asks you, how long did you
Yeah,
save to deciding to buy a property? How
right.
much one?
So yeah, I can say it again. So I think I took maybe a year and a half to 2 years to kind of once I saved that deposit to actually find something that I wanted. And like I said, between that whole phase, I thought I found a property that fell through, and then I met with another real estate agent and found something else type of thing. So I mean, for some people, it can take a couple months if you're a little picky. I would say, and I feel like that's with real estate. You should be picky because you're spending money and you're spending your hard-earned money on something. So it's okay to be picky. If you don't want to live in that area, don't live in that area. And especially for me, coming like as a single woman in the Bahamas, like safety is my one priority. So I need to be in an area where I feel safe, where I'm able to walk around or take a lap and know that I'm going to be able to make it back into my home safely. So That's just my personal opinion.
That's a great point. Another question says, was your loan for property as well as the construction costs, or was it just for one thing?
I love it. Get into my business. No, I just did I just did the property for now. So I did the 15-year. My plan is I'm going to come back in and I'm in discussion with the bank now. I'm trying to get the loan converted into a home mortgage where I can use the remaining amount to do the construction for the home. So we're in the process of converting it, but and to be honest, I initially got this plan, I think, from my mom as well. See, you got to tap into it. She's a mortgage loan officer. So she was like, this is something that I've seen young people do and work. Buy the property first if you're considering building. Once you've secured that property, then what she said was build the foundation out of pocket, which I did. So I spent, what is it, the pandemic to now just putting money out of pocket into the foundation. And then once you have foundation, you have automatic equity in the property. So that helps when you're having discussions with the bank because the bank wants to know that, hey, I am able to get my money back, or this person has already invested in this property. So it went from a property that it went from just like a bare property to property with a structure. So that means something in the bank. And then you can go back to the bank and get the rest of the money or request the rest of the money to build up to occupancy. And I had multiple mortgage loan officers tell me that. So I think that's a plug, but it is easier sometimes too just to buy a home and just clean it up.
You've given us all your secrets, and I honestly I hope our are appreciating it too, because we appreciate the fact that your mom was a mortgage loan officer, so you're telling us all the tricks that she gave you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'm here to pass it on. It's so funny because I'm not a real estate agent. I'm just trying to work the system.
So another question says, should you take out a long mortgage or try to pay most of it out of pocket?
You can. I actually had a colleague as well. She was able to save way more than the deposit. So her mortgage now is a lot lower because she was able to come up with, let's say, $40,000 upfront for the property. That's amazing because now you have less mortgage payment. Like your mortgage payment is a lot less since you already invested so much into the property already. So I think definitely you can. Like I said, it's always going to be up to you and your needs and your preferences and where you're at in your life. If this is just an investment property, you're not living in it right anytime soon, you just want to take your time, definitely do that as well. People are building out of pocket these days too.
I am just loving all of these gems. But I think this is the last question.
It's so funny.
And it says, can a Bahamian living abroad apply for a loan in the Bahamas?
I want to say yes, but I'm just trying to confirm in terms of the signing process because I know you physically have to sign, and I feel like there might be I don't know if there's a limitation because I know even for me, I signed in a pandemic, but I still had to come in once to the bank, which is really good. I need to come in one time just to sign with the lawyers and to sign with the banks. But I'm not sure if by law, and you're a lawyer, I don't think a digital signature is enough.
Well, it depends. I would say, obviously, I don't know the situation in terms of buying property, but let's say if you're coming home for Christmas or summer, maybe that would be your opportunity to go in and try to sign all of your documents and everything one time. But in terms of paying
Right.
on, I don't think that would be an issue if you're not living in the Bahamas.
Oh, most definitely. I did almost everything online virtually. The bank was responsive to that, especially during COVID. Even with the lawyer's office, I was able to scan and email everything. So, oh, okay. I think someone's a lawyer in the comments and say power of attorney can. So maybe it's possible.
Yeah. So you can allow someone to actually do things on your behalf here in the Bahamas. So that's what Tanisa is saying in the chat in terms of a power of attorney. So once you get a power of attorney, they can be able to do your business for you in the Bahamas as it relates to your purchasing property and everything.
Right. And
it's
it's easier for us, right? Because this is our country. So I think it's definitely possible. Doesn't matter where you live.
I agree with you totally on that one. So we don't have any more questions, But now it's time for us to ask the audience questions so that they can win two of our giveaway prizes. So one of our
Oh,
prizes is this beautiful Dolce and Gabbana perfume set. So
I
let's
love
see
it.
if you were paying attention while Ree was telling us about her property journey. So Ree told us three people that we need when we're purchasing property. Do you remember those three people that she mentioned? Okay,
Oh,
Sadie
that's
is
a good
saying ooh.
one.
Okay, Sadie, come on. Type them out. Let's get this prize. Okay, Skylar is saying realtor. I'm seeing real estate. I'm seeing lawyer. Okay, so Tanisa has two. She's saying real estate, loan officer, and lawyer. Okay, Tanisa is the one that I believe got all three correct. Okay, so I'm seeing Tanisa as the first person who got all three. And Cedrica typed in all three as well. Can you guys hear me fine? Am I out? Or, okay, we lost Ree. Okay, I thought it was my internet. Okay, so we lost Ree, but I will try to reconnect with her. But Tanisa got all three. She said you need the realtor, the loan officer, and the lawyer. All right, so congratulations, Tanisa. So I will arrange with you to collect your prize this week. Let me get Ree back in. Ree, are you back? Okay, I'm still seeing that it's buffering. Can you
I'm
guys
back.
please tell me if you can hear me and Ree? Ree, can you hear me?
Yes, you sound divine.
Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, so Tanisa got
It was too
all
much
three
excitement.
of our. Okay, so Tanisa said the real estate agent, the lawyer, and she also said the mortgage loan officer. So I
I love
have
it.
another question, but Ree, I'm going to let you ask our next question.
Oh, really? Okay, this one I want to make it hard. Okay, so what would okay, let's do this. Okay. So I talked a bit about like mindset shifts when it came to like um my property journey. So what was the main mindset shift that I said I had to make in order to kind of tap into this journey?
Ree, that was actually the question I was going to ask. So you've been thinking about
Yay!
it?
Twenties. Come
So
on, we're in sync. That's a good one.
of this prize, you will get a $50 gift certificate to Wife Her Boutique. So I see Shania in the
Mm.
chat. She's saying money all around. I don't know if anyone else
What?
wants to take a gift at it. Okay, SETI is pretty for saving, attracting money. Okay,
Yeah.
and Neeks is saying money is attracted to me. I'm gonna let you choose out of these selections which
Oh
one is
no. Oh no, child, the
because they're all
pressure. Oh
pretty
no.
similar but slightly different. So you can choose which one you
Okay.
think is a good.
Oh wow, Sean, the pressure you put on my life. Okay. I,
So Okay, Ree, I think you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's me or you,
Oh,
Ree.
sorry,
Guys, can
I'm
you
breaking
type in
up.
the
Can
chat
you
if you
guys
can
hear
hear
me?
Ree clearly?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you say it one more time?
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I was giving it to at Five Star Beauty because I was the first response. I said to see money is all around.
Okay, I don't want to be biased. So I think she actually won a prize before. So
Oh, okay. So next up is
spread
definitely
the
SETI.
and the fun, you can give it to someone else. I
Okay, so
love
definitely
Ree.
SETI.
I love-
That's fine. SETI then. Who said
Okay,
saving and attracting money?
all right, Steady, congratulations. You just won a $50 gift card to Wipe Her Boutique.
I
Congratulations.
love it.
And I will be in contact with you on how you can redeem your prize. And yes, she's let me know that she's in the chat and she's going to give her gift. Congratulations.
She said, "Give me mine." It makes you.
And I
Oh my
think it's
God,
nice she
congrats,
said
Betty.
one something because she knows both of us. So I think it's perfect for her to be
Yes,
the winner of one of our prizes.
yes. And she's been an avid supporter of Sunday series. I can't think who better to
Yeah.
walk away. Congrats, Betty.
But Ree, thank you so much for being willing to chat with us about your property buying journey. You dropped so many gems. I have to rewatch this live and make some notes so that I can put all of the things that you said into practice when I decide to buy my property.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be able to be a part of this series. It was amazing, Shar. Claps, claps to our wonderful
Thank
host.
you
She
so
is
much.
phenomenal.
Thank you, thank you. And guys, this is not going to be the last time you see Ree. So please subscribe to her YouTube channel, Life of Ree HC. Follow her on Instagram, Life of Ree HC, and she's going to keep us updated with her property journey. Anything that she's learned along the way, she'll keep us filled in. So make sure you follow her so that you can stay in the know and so that she can give you more tips. So
Yes, thank y'all for having me.
thank you so much, Ree, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay, guys, that is the end of our Sunday Chat Instagram Live series for November. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported our Instagram Live series for this entire month. Don't worry, this will not be the end of our Instagram Live series completely until next November. I will try my best to make this a more frequent thing so that we can all grow, survive, and thrive in our 20s. Because, like we said, money is all around us, money is attracted to us, and we can achieve our financial goals. So I just wish for all of us to succeed and to thrive in our 20s. So please continue to watch the YouTube videos that Ree is going to be posting on her YouTube channel and stay in the know here on my Instagram so that you can see all of the new things that I'll be posting in the new year so that all of us can survive and thrive in our 20s. I hope that you all enjoyed the series. And one more time, I'd like to give a huge shout out and thank you to my amazing sponsors, Wife Her Boutique, the G Label Boutique, Maybelline New York, Dolce & Gabbana, Elisab, Neutrogena, and Maybelline. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you all enjoyed the live. Enjoy the rest of your evening.